Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of NMP Talk Show. I'm your host, Neo Morabedi, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Today, we're discussing a topic that is becoming increasingly important in today's workspaces: the silent pressure, leadership, mental wellness, and performance. So every day, people walk into their responsibilities carrying more responsibilities from home. They're carrying expectations, deadlines, and personal challenges. Leaders, on the other side, are expected to even inspire these employees into confidence, while the employees themselves they strive to meet demands, of their targets, performance targets. Yet beneath the surface, many are silently battling stresses, anxiety, burnout, and emotional fatigue. The truth is, sustainable performance isn't just about working harder, it's about creating workspaces where people can thrive mentally and also emotionally. So, to help us unpack this important conversation, I'm so honored to welcome Nora Munyai from Thea and that word, enablement. That's correct, right? I hope I got it right.
Correct. You
So,
got
Nora,
it right.
awesome. Nora is passionate about leadership transformation, developing emotionally intelligent leaders, and also helping organizations build healthier, high performing workplace cultures. Nora, welcome to NMP Talk Show, and it's wonderful to have you with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the invitation.
Awesome. So, Nora, before we explore today's topic, we'd love for our viewers to get to know you much better. And maybe please tell us a little about yourself, the work that you do with the enablement, and what it really is.
Yes. So I'm a founder and CEO of TA Enablement. I serve as a neurobusiness coach and transformation strategist. I've been in the industry for quite some time and have taken different roles, working with leaders at different levels of accountability. And at TA Enablement, we partner with individuals, with leaders, with organizations to help them understand their internal operating system. So, what I mean by that is to understand how their beliefs, their emotions, their identity, their life experiences shapes how they think, how they feel, how they relate, how they show up, and how that ultimately affect performance and the environment that they create so that the business can be able to flourish.
Wow. So tell me, everyone has a story, behind what they
Yes.
do. What is your story? What inspired you, to develop this passion for leadership and transformation, for human performance?
Sure, you had to go there.
And please don't ask me what my
um,
story is about.
it is so true. We
Yeah.
all have a story. So I've been in different organizations, different roles, as I've indicated. And as I go through those journeys, I found that most of the time, because of the intensity of the pressure, we end up just treating people as numbers, right? They come in, they must do the work, almost machines. They come in, they must do the work, and then we move on. And sometimes even telling them to leave their problems at the door, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't sitting well with me. Because I felt like there must be a way where we can be able to equip people in a way that they can show up differently as their whole selves. So in that journey, somehow I find myself, my background is industrial psychology, but
Okay.
somehow I find myself gravitating to mentoring, to coaching. And in the process, I then spend a bit of time in the coaching space doing professional business coaching. And in the end, as I realized there must be something deeper that can be able to really shift the impact, at a humanistic level. And that's where I came across neuroscience, which really then helped me appreciate that we can go at belief system, we can go at protective patterns that people have. And I had to work through my own
Yeah.
and those closer to me,
Mm.
which was really, I think, a gift because I think as I was going through that, I've just lost a loved one. And there was a lot that was going on. So it was really, I would say, part of a gift that really helped me to, oh, this is how I can also be able to help others, especially those in leadership, because they deal with so much, not just in business, but also in their homes.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad that you're touching the home aspect of it, but later on the show we'll just expand more on it. But now we know when we speak of leadership, or we have leadership conversations, we traditionally focus on results, productivity, and strategy. But now we're hearing more of that. We're hearing more about mental wellness. So, according to you, why do you believe that mental wellness and leadership should be part of the same conversation that we're having today?
You know what? They're actually not separable,
Mm,
because leaders create the environment for flourishing. Um, so I'll give you an example. You go to an environment where there is, the leader brings in a lot of fear, a lot of pressure, a lot of uncertainty, criticism in how they deal with their employees or with deal with the system, with each other as they collaborate. You can only imagine what that does to the people because people are coming in with their own protective patterns, which we're going to unpack shortly. So when you enter that environment, you you're protecting because you're wondering, okay, I'm going to be attacked, I'm not psychological safe,
mm,
what I'm doing is not good enough, and probably you're already dealing with some of that from your past. Then it becomes very difficult for you to really give your best. Whereas if you're in an environment that is not necessarily cushioning, but that is healthier, right?
yeah.
Where there's trust, where there's psychological safety, where there's accountability and high standards, yet there's dignity and belonging and care, the environment is quite different. It nourishes a different type of performance in how people show up. So it really makes it clear that mental wellness and leadership they cannot be separated because how you create that environment or conditions really talks to the success that comes into the organization.
That is so true. I mean, we spend most of our time there in that environment. So if you work in 9 to 5, I mean, that's a chunk of your day that you're spending. You need to have a better environment, to thrive. So I do understand that this conversation cannot be separable. It goes hand in
Yeah.
hand. But now
So
let's
spot on.
yeah.
Yeah, so
But
spot on.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to say that it's so spot
Mm,
on. And to illustrate it, I actually would like you to, and those who are listening,
mm,
to to just experience it. I just want you to imagine a moment so that you can just experience the two,
okay.
especially those who are taking, leadership roles.
Yeah,
So all of us have gone through environments that are toxic, dysfunctional, and
for
we've
sure.
also gone through experiences that are calming, right? So
Mm,
if you just pause and just imagine yourself in that environment that is toxic,
Mm,
that creates fear, that creates anxiety. If you just pay attention to your body,
mm.
what do you notice? Is there anywhere in your body where you feel tension? That's it.
We all tense. Yeah, we get tense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it means that people are operating in that culture on a daily basis.
Oh my word.
All right. And then let's go to an environment that is healthier, right? Doesn't mean it's perfect, but the conditions, there is dignity, there is love and care. People can have honest conversation. People feel free to even innovate and make mistakes and learn.
Mm,
When you are in that environment, what are you noticing happens with your body?
sure. I don't know if we do have a caller now. Maybe
Okay.
they want to speak on what you're asking now. Hilda,
Okay.
welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us this evening. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, you.
Yes, we hear you
Now can you hear me?
loud and clear. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you. The speaker is not audible at all
Is it?
from my side. I'm not. Yes,
Oh, okay. That is weird.
we can hear. I can hear you very clearly, but not the speaker.
Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Thank,
Telegram name.
thank you so much for letting us know. Um,
Thanks.
let's see. Okay. Nora, can you say something to test if they can hear you?
Testing. Are you able to hear me now?
Hilda, can you hear now?
No, no,
Nothing.
All right.
nothing. And
Oh,
from
I'm gonna
Bafana's side as
remove.
well. I mean, I want to find out from him if you can hear anything from the
okay.
speaker side.
All right.
Is
Sorry
that
Then
better
then.
now?
It's not your side. I think it's my side here.
Okay.
Um, all right. Can you say something?
Testing.
Okay. Again.
Yeah. Are you able to hear us now?
Hilda, can you hear now?
perfect, perfect.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Oh, we are so sorry that you could not hear. All right. Thank you so much. Um,
All right.
I just
so
want to check again. Neil, Heather, are you still able to hear me? I removed my earpiece and then I just put it back. Is that
I
you
can
still
hear
can?
you. I can hear you
Okay.
clearly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
awesome. We apologize about that. It means they didn't catch anything that we said in the beginning. But anyway, they can catch up with the recording. So you were talking about the environment that we're working in. If it's tense, what do we feel? And one of the things that you highlighted is the tension that you feel in your body. Now picture it happening on a daily basis from 9 to 5. Even waking up knowing that you're going into that environment, you already get sick. So we've all been through that, and I can vouch for a lot many that are connected here, and otherwise that environment is very toxic and it's something that you don't want to have. But now we also excited that we do have another way of rectifying all these matters, especially having people experience like yourself, Nora, that go into training the management, training the employees, giving tools on how to um, um, how to manage life or build a better environment for them. Anything that you want to add on there?
Definitely, it's such an opportunity, to really work with individuals, and
Mm,
especially at a leadership level. Most of the
yeah.
time, most of the clients that I meet, they come in saying, "Oh, I'm worried about my targets. I'm worried about,
Yeah.
my delegation with teams."
Mm,
And then when we work through it, actually to realize that they need to firstly work on themselves. They need to understand what are the protective patterns that they're going through that they're basically transmitting into their working environment. Because those protective patterns could be something like, I would say, imposter syndrome, overthinking, procrastination. It could be overworking, positional power and aggressiveness and over control. All those things, people are coming with them holding on from past experiences and protecting themselves. So they transmit them when the environment is not healthy and they don't know. They transmit them into their working space, creating more dysfunctional conditions of work. So we work with them to firstly understand those internal, invisible operating system that are serving as brake paddles so that they can really, start strengthening themselves, being aware of them, and obviously choosing to show up differently in creating those environments to be able to flourish.
Wow. I was just thinking about it now. When I left my day job, um, a full time job at that time, you know, and listening to what you are saying about people carrying all these things, these baggages into another position or another workplace, how I wish that there could be an exit course, because when somebody joins the company, usually they would give them training on what do you call that, um
Onboarding.
onboarding. Yes, they'll be onboarded, but then
Mm,
what happens when they leave the company? you
mm,
know it would be nice that we have that, maybe because sometimes when you leave the company, you're not living in good terms. It can be difficult, to do that, but it would be nice to have a program like that. If you leave the company, you have an exit course. That exit course just checks on your mental wellness, the reason why you live in the company, and also how you can deal with it, and not being at this environment that you're living, and to prepare you for a better environment, or the environment that you may face in the future. So yeah, we know who to call on that one.
Definitely. And what's fascinating is
Yeah.
that before
Mm.
even the potential for an offboarding course,
Yeah.
if we can just be human, you
Yeah.
know, if we can just be human, even when a person is being dismissed for a reason that could be valid, when we are
Mm,
human, when we care and love and show dignity to the person and show
mm,
compassion and that accountability, talking to that high performance from that lens, it dignifies the person and still
true.
enables the person
Yeah.
to the next journey of their life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's really just going back to being human. I would say this journey, and yeah, it can be quite powerful in the process and obviously at offboarding.
Thank you so much. I know we've touched on this, but from your experience, how is workplace pressure affecting people's mental and their emotional wellness? This is for the benefit, because our audience there on Telegram did not catch, when we started, and you touched on this subject. Would you want to elaborate more on this?
Yes. So the reality of the matter is that pressure will always be there, right?
Mm,
So um, we live in rapid change. We live in environment where market changes, targets are high. There are limited resources, so
yeah.
pressure will always be there. However, the challenge is not pressure.
Mm,
The challenge is living in the culture where pressure is consistent, where now that is the way of being. Um, so, what I have found in this journey that is key is that it becomes quite crucial for employees, for leaders, individuals to actually create space for nourishment. Because we're not going to be able to run away from the pressure. It's
mm,
going to be necessary for us to embrace it.
yeah.
So, when we create that space for nourishment, it doesn't mean that you're going to need a lot of time. It could be 5 minutes, right? Where you start giving yourself, as you leave and exit, you've got a letting go time where you pause and slow down and nourish yourself. And even you ask yourself, what am I hungry for that I need to nourish? Because sure, it's been such a long day. And I'm not talking about feeding, because feeding could be junk, but something that really nourishes us. That becomes quite crucial. And if I could just go back a little bit,
Yeah.
with pressure, when pressure is becoming consistent, we have a survival mode, all of us do, and we also have a restore and regulate mode. So pressure often finds or requires us to operate in survival mode, because we want to do this quickly and address it. But it's important, our body requires us to also go into restore and regulate mode. And then it helps us address the challenges the protective patterns that we may have been experiencing as well. Then addressing the mental wellness, and then creating better conditions. Because if I'm doing it as a leader, can you imagine how it becomes easier to gift that to the rest of the team as well?
Yeah.
So it becomes important to start with me. But pressure is not the problem. It's living in pressure which causes the problem, and not creating the space to nourish ourselves, to rest, to take a moment, to slow down, to eat well, to sleep, to, drink water, to walk at the park, to hug our families and loved one for not less than 20 seconds.
Yeah.
These are basic things, but
Yeah.
actually they do so much to be able to help us with our mental wellness, especially in times of pressure.
Oh, that is true. So many people continue performing while they're silently struggling, as you mentioning, right? Um, we need to find, warnings, some warnings that we can look to be in the lookout for, you know, being colleagues. We can identify, my colleague is going through something, what are the signs? And also the managers could also pay attention to them to see the team. When things are changing in the team, they can sense that there is something that is going on underlying here, and I need to give it an attention. So,
Yeah.
with your experience, what would you say? What would be the signs that we can be on the lookout for?
So, some of the signs would be, you will notice a shift,
Mm,
but you will notice if you're paying attention,
okay.
right?
Yeah. Mm,
So most of the time we go to work, we don't really pay attention. We go, go, go,
mm,
right? But
mm,
you will notice a shift in the person's energy, in the way they make decisions, their
mm,
actions, even their results may not be the same, especially if they've been high performing individuals. And you will also notice it in their absenteeism, the sick leaves, the being withdrawal, the reduction, obviously, in engagement, difficult concentrating, emotional exhaustion. You will just notice that the person is no longer themselves. And some of those protective patterns that they've been working very hard to suppress and hide, they're getting very triggered quickly.
mm,
And it's like, but you're not quite yourself. So
mm,
all of it requires us, the data driven ones like the absenteeism, the sick leave, those are the obvious. But because you can be able to, through HR support, you can be able to pull those reports. And obviously, leaders look at that on an ongoing basis, and also seeing the employee not coming in. But some of it, as it starts earlier, it's really just paying attention to notice, no, this person
yeah.
is not themselves anymore.
So before it becomes worse, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, despite greater awareness around this mental health scenarios, why do many organizations still struggle to openly discuss mental health issues?
That's an interesting one,
Yeah,
and a missed opportunity.
yeah. Maybe before you
Because
answer that,
yeah,
sorry about that. Let's take a hint from Telegram there. Hilda, please go ahead.
Thank you, Nero. You know, if we can go back to the basics, management is so nonchalant these days. They don't care about their employees. Senior managers got values on the wall.
Mm,
We care about them. We trust our employees. Hey, that thing is just a paper. It doesn't work in real life. And for managers to see a pattern, I mean, we've got weekly reports where you report the sick leave, the disabilities, all this nonsense, the absenteeism. They can see the pattern. They can see that this thing is really deteriorating. But what do they do about it? You know, I had one manager who once said to me, this guy, particular guy, had depression, and he was like, "Where have you seen a man with a depression? This guy must just come to work. Who's going to work on his behalf? The team is struggling." And I just looked at him and I was like, "Wow." And at the back of his chair, he's got this values. We care about our employees. Really? If we can go back to the basics, Ubuntu,
yeah,
managers carry, they chasing production, nothing else, nothing else. They don't care about your health, and people are suffering out there. You know, I even learned to see somebody who's depressed, and to test it, I will just ask a simple question: "How are you?" And you see a guy starting to cry. That question is so important. If somebody is really depressed, I don't even want to hear how are you. But our managers don't care, especially with men. If men are suffering at work, they don't expect them to be depressed. They are a weakling. So we can change this only if we can go back to the basics.
yeah.
But wow, it's so sad what we see in the environment.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's very sad. And I think, I'm not a professional at this, but we've gone from people to numbers to budgets, and that's what we're working for. We have a budget, we have to meet it. We have numbers, we have to get to those numbers. How we get it, or how we get there. Um, Look, it doesn't matter as long as we get there, and the casualties will always be the employees. And that's what I'm hearing from what you just saying, relating to us, Helder. And it's a very sad state of affairs. Maybe Nora, you with a professional view, you could comment on this one as well.
definitely. Thank you so much, Helda, for sharing. And that's what's happening. And I think from the beginning of the conversation, as we've been talking, it's really going back to the basics,
Yeah,
right? It's really paying attention. And we're getting to a time when, with technology being so advanced, we will need to actually pay attention to the human system, because the human system will need to carry what the human system is able to. That technology, AI, and all of that, is not able to carry. So this becomes an opportunity for leaders, for organization to really spend and invest time in ensuring that the leaders can understand internal human beings, the internal operating systems better, um, so that they can be able to, by the time we get to those times, we're able to focus on what we need to focus on. But yes, definitely, people, they're told, leave your problems at the door. Um, and the reality is that a person who is saying that is because they're having a struggle themselves.
Yeah.
So if we go back to the example that I gave you earlier of just paying attention to what your body is saying, a transformed leader creates a transformed, healthy environment. An untransformed, unhealthy leader, will create that type of environment. So when we're seeing those things, it's actually calling on senior leadership to say, hey, we need to do something to ensure that the leaders themselves,
Mm,
are in a state where they can care for themselves so that they can be able to care for the system.
I used to be in IT um, for a number of years, and one of the my responsibilities was to take care of high profile employees like your managers, your CEOs, and all those. And you get to eavesdrop when you work in the building, and you can tell how the CEO would be speaking to the managers, and you'd be like, how are you speaking like this to another human being? I mean, I there was this one CEO was swearing. Wow. I felt pain in my heart as if he was talking to me. And they were in the boardroom, screaming on the top to the top of his lungs. And now you take that manager, they walk out of that boardroom after being sworn at. They come to us. What are they going to do?
Mm.
So it's a ripple effect. Somebody was saying it's a champagne effect. As it bubbles up, it flows down. So, yeah, the phone is ringing. Okay, I'll get them. So with that in mind, I think this is where we need to start first at the top. If you fix the top, already you're fixing the whole chain going down. You can't be fixing the bottom where the top is not doing very well there. So leadership, yes, we understand that it has its own pressures, but the pressure that is inflicted, for a lack of a better word, that is inflicted in the top level or from the top level, really adversely affects the bottom level, the bottom chain.
It does.
Yeah.
In the same breath, I would like to plant a seed.
Yeah, please.
In that, you will also find that there are two individuals
Yeah.
who experience that shouting and they deal with that shouting differently, right?
Yeah.
One actually sit with that CEO and say, no, that's not how you're speaking to me. There must be a better way for us to
Yeah.
address this matter,
Yeah.
right? And there will be one who'll be shattered,
Mm.
right? So it tells us about our internal operating systems. It
Yeah.
tells us that although it's key for leadership to receive the transformation, yet any individual also at any level who
Mm.
have received that transformation, who have strengthened their belief system to understand and realize that I am actually good enough with what I'm doing. I am actually, I'm not
I'm
I'm not
qualified.
hungry. I'm
Mm.
qualified, yes. I'm not hungry to belong because some of it we've got core needs, right?
Yeah.
Each one of us have core needs, and
Mm.
if I can just simplify them, those core needs, Maslow comes with a list of those core needs, but if I could simplify them, we have the need to feel loved, to belong. We
Yeah.
have a need to feel safe. We've got a need to feel significant or good enough or worthy, right? It falls within the same category. So most of the people, they live their lives being fragmented, not receiving love and belonging, right? Not feeling psychological safe, not feeling good enough because they're really battered. They were either put under so much pressure, and now they are going into those environments which are putting them in the same way,
They're
in
broken
the
already.
same, you see. Yet when those areas, those patterns becomes a belief system for them. So when something happens, somebody shouts at them, the meaning for them says, I'm not good enough. You know what? It's true. I'm actually not good enough, right? Whereas a person who's been strengthened in those protective patterns, who understand actually I am good enough and I know what I'm doing, will have a different conversation to say, no, no, let's address this differently, human being to human being. So it becomes also quite crucial at every level to also strengthen people on their human internal operating system so that they're really comfortable with the people or the persons that they are. And when those challenges comes, they are not as, to your point, broken or fragmented, as I will call it, and hungry, because when you're hungry to belong and hungry to be loved and hungry to feel worthy, you now show up differently. You're overworking, you're over wanting to be seen, and that creates a lot of mental
Frustration.
challenges, right?
Yeah.
And you see, but when you have strengthened that, you have unlearned, or you grew up in an environment that has helped you to strengthen that, you show up completely differently. So two leaders can go into the room, face the same criticism, and walk out and address it quite differently. So that's really the seed I'm planting, is the transformation can also happen at any level where we can support each other so that we can also call on the behavior that is unhealthy to say that is not what we want. Let's build something else.
I think this also starts from home,
Yes.
from parents. How are you bringing up your children? You can bring up a broken child that will be broken forever, or you can build a child that will be strong forever. And I'm talking about this because if your child has been reassured of love when they're still growing up, they will not be phased of what people are saying about them. They easily, can take on the world. And then there's the second person that you're talking about, the second leader that you're talking about, that would say, hold on, I know my worth. So you can say what you say about me, you can put me down, you can talk however you want, but I do know my worth. And they walk out with their heads, up. But then you have somebody that's coming from a broken home. They 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 have they've been beaten up. Their personalities have been beaten up. And all they wanted to do from their home is get out of that home and become something else. And that's when you see bullies at schools. And those bullies, later on, you see them at workplaces. And those are bullies that are shouting at us there, really. And because it
That's
dates
it.
back from their upbringing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hilda,
So,
jump in again, please. You're unmuted now. I saw your hand coming up, Hilda.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I'm saying you mentioned something like if you show them that you understand your worth, right?
Mm.
You walk out with a victory. Immediately when they see that you are
Sorry,
successful,
Hilda.
they will want you out of the system.
Sorry, Hilda. Can you move closer to your device?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You mentioned something like uh, these people that are shouting others as well
Yeah.
come from a broken family before they are broken themselves, right?
Mm.
And then it comes. family is to raise the kids well and they understand their worth, they understand their worth, fine. But immediately that remember that manager that shouted you intimidate him so bad, so bad. So immediately when they see that you really understand your worth, they will withdraw. In African we say so that comes back.
Oh, we losing you, Heather. Are you driving? Hello, Hilda, can you hear?
Oh, I'm not sure what
Oh
is
yes,
happening, but can you hear me now?
now
Yes.
we hear you loud and clear.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying immediately when they see that you understand your worth,
Mm,
this manager that is always shouting at you
mm,
actually intimidate them. You intimidate them so badly. They can't stand how you carry yourself at work.
mm,
Whether they shout at you or not, they will make sure that they work you out of the system.
yeah.
Somehow they will. We've seen them. We've
Mhm,
seen them doing that to other employees, and it's so painful to watch. And you
yeah.
can't say anything. You just can't say anything. You just watch and wow, let's move on. But immediately when they
Mm,
see that you really understand, there was a time when I said to one manager, when you are done shouting, then you know where my office is. And he just couldn't believe it. He just couldn't believe it because he never had respect for a person, irrespective of color.
mm,
He was a white guy. When he speaks to his managers, you want to close your ears the way he's swearing. And one day he wanted to start that with me. I stood up. I said, listen, when you're done, you know where my office is. And he felt so angry to the fact that he sent an email to my seniors that they must call me to order. And you know what he did on the letter, on the email, actually addressed it to me and CC'd my seniors. And he says, Dear Linda. And for the fact that he said, Dear Linda, I said, he's not addressing me. I'm not Linda. I didn't respond to it.
yeah.
after a week, after
Sure.
a week, he sent HR to me and said, listen, you tell that girl that I hate being disrespected. And I sent the HR back. I said, you tell him that I hate being disrespected. I'm not Linda. Linda will respond to him.
Mm, yeah.
But immediately when they see that this one understands their worth, oh, they will
Mm,
make your life hell. They will make your life hell.
sure.
But hey, we move on. We soldier on.
You
And
do.
it's good that understand your worth. That's the important thing. Understand your value. If you're not valued here, you are valued somewhere else.
That's true.
And that's how you keep yourself sane mentally.
Sure. Thanks for that input,
Thank you,
Hilda.
Neo.
Thank you so much. Nora, do you want to jump in there?
She just took my words because that's
Yeah.
it, right? So a
Mm,
person that knows their worth, the person that knows that they belong,
mm,
and they're psychological safe, they really just walk differently. Um, and in some cases, even when they try to exit them, opportunities, another opportunity often comes through where you will feel valued. I've worked with a number of those, I've experienced it myself.
mm,
Where you are told, yeah, difficult things. But at the end of the day, when you really understand that and appreciate that I am good enough, I am capable, I am worthy, and I belong, it really just gives you peace of mind for whatever is coming. That's where resilience comes in, right? But when you have that fragmentation, you can end up in hospital when you've been treated that way. Whereas when you know your worth, you can be able to make a choice. What are the steps that I need to do here to be able to prepare, either to support myself within the system or to move on if I need to move on. And the reality of the matter is that um, Hilda, many of us, we've planted a seed. When you have left that environment and you've put your foot down, you have planted a seed. It's not going to be the same because many others also build the courage to say no. The culture cannot be the same. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. I think it'll be sorry, it'll be even more appropriate to ask this question, about leaders. Why do they struggle to ask for help or even admit that they're under pressure? Because when they don't do that, this is the results that we see of them treating others the same. You know,
Mm.
why is that the case? Why can't leaders do that? Ask for help.
So, going back again to our protective patterns. So you coming, let's take a scenario, right? We have Opa. Opa grew up in a very difficult home and he had to really work hard. And every time when he tried to seek for help, there wasn't help. Even got burned a few times trying to seek for help. So Opa's operating system, his inner person understands that I have to stand and figure things out myself. If I don't, I am not going to find somebody else to help me, right? That becomes his lens of the world, which means that even when he grows to leadership, because he's a very smart person, talented, that's how he's going to show up because that became his belief system. That pattern has now become his identity. That's how he sees the world.
It has molded him.
Until that's it, right? Until Opa has done some work to start building awareness to realize, come to a conscious level to realize, oh, actually, I do need help as well. Asking for help doesn't mean that I'm weak.
Mm,
Asking for help, even if somebody doesn't say no, I can go to somebody else,
mm,
right? But it requires OPA to receive the necessary help and transformation to start building that awareness. And when the awareness is there, we can't fix what we can't see. We can't change what we can't see. Immediately he becomes aware, it becomes easier to be able to work with it. So, to answer your question, the reason people struggle to ask for help is because they've gone through life having to carry their own, straddles and survive themselves. And asking for help becomes a very difficult thing because they know they're going to be disappointed. And they end up even doing it in leadership roles. So it really requires a rewiring and unlearning to be able to also
mhm.
work well with their teams and create the condition. Because remember, what they show up, their state transmit into the teams as well. So they also, their behavior is also teaching the team how to show up as well. So they can be able to plant differently as they receive that transformation. And the transformation is not always about just coaching. It could even just having a thinking partner, a friend who's matured enough, emotionally matured enough, or leadership matured enough to be able to point out, hey, friend, this is what I'm noticing. I really want to help you, but I'm not too sure what's happening. I only hear things later. How can I make sure that, I support you better? And the learnings can be able to start from there. But most of the time, you see it as a symptom and a signal and a behavior expression later. But behind that behavior or beneath that behavior expression, there are other invisible brake paddles or protective patterns that needs to be worked with for the person to liberate themselves and ask for help in this case.
You know what I'm thinking?
Mm.
It's a certain quality that is needed, and that quality, to many, is a weakness. It's seen as weakness.
Mhm.
I think I know you. You get me there.
Mm.
You need humility,
Yes.
because if you have that quality, humility, really, it will be easy to accept correction. It will be easy for somebody to walk up to you and say, "Friend, I think you need to fix something here," and
Mm.
then you gladly do that. But now, pride takes over, and there's nothing we can do about it now. But let's talk about workplace culture. We've painted this picture of the environment that is not conducive, the environment that is toxic. Let's paint another picture, a beautiful picture. Let's talk about a healthy environment. What does an emotionally healthy workplace look like?
So that is also an environment because those organizations exist, right?
Yeah.
That is an environment where employees and leaders create the space to flourish. An environment where the leader started with themselves
Mm,
to be able to understand what are these protective patterns, what are these defenses, what are this belief system that has been serving as brake pedals or holding them back. What are the mental health challenges that they are going through that are holding them back? And when they have worked through that, it doesn't mean it's perfect. It means that they understand how to regulate themselves. They create a different type of environment, an environment where people can easily be able to speak up. People can easily, with respect and humility, people
mm,
can be able to care and love each other. Love is not only intimacy, you know,
mm,
in how some people would look at it, but it's also really about care, where there's dignity and psychological safety, where a growth conversation happens to the point I made earlier. Even when a person has to leave the organization, they actually leave feeling very capacitated to understand, oh, you know what, things are not working here. These are the challenges that I'm experiencing. And actually, this is a better environment for me, and these are the skill set that I've been helped to be able to acquire to be able to move to the next place. So that environment, the people, the employees, the leader, the ecosystem
mm,
really makes an intentional effort to make sure that there's care, yet there is high standards. And when there's dysfunction, it's picked up early and it's addressed.
mm,
And you will find that they really flourish. And you will also find the results sustainably also
mm,
showing that consistency in terms of how they grow. And they take things like coaching, mentoring, therapy, thinking partners, creating nurturing spaces, where you
mm,
rest, where you fuel yourself, where you rest, where you have personal conversations. They take them very seriously, where the people can be able to also fuel themselves and nourish just outside the working environment. So it sounds like a lot, but it's really little steps that they intentionally take on a daily basis, where the person also feel I belong and I'm bringing a contribution to this organization or to this environment.
sure. So that environment that you just painted, which is intentional, right?
Yes.
Would include trust, would include
Yes.
communication, and also
Yes.
empathy.
Yes.
So if we take those three qualities, how would it translate into a stronger performance and healthier teams?
So those are very, I would call them strategic capabilities,
Mm,
to your point, right? Because communication, you're planting seeds,
yeah,
language, plant seeds, right?
yeah.
So your words can build a healthy environment, right? Where there's
Mm,
clarity, where there's confidence, where there's ownership,
mm,
right? Where you enable growth, where you can have a tough conversation and enabling caring, tough conversation, right? Yet, in the same breath, words, communication can create fear, confusion, and uncertainty,
Mm,
right? So it's a very strategic capability. And when it comes to trust, trust is another important one, because as you build that healthier environment where there's clarity, ownership, and confidence, people feel they have the psychological safety to trust. You know what? I can express myself. I can be able to give and contribute to the best in this type of environment. I can collaborate without risk. And compassion and empathy, it's really just allowing ourselves to see another human being, right?
yeah,
Where we can have an honest human being conversation. Doesn't mean the leader is a therapist. It just means that the leader can be able to pause and really notice even before the employee can speak. No, man, something is not right with Neo today. What is happening? Come, let's have a conversation. 5 minutes, that conversation can be so meaningful that Neo leaves the room very equipped to actually feel, you know what, I really do want to do so much more. And that's what empathy and compassion do as well.
sure. Nora, thank you so much for all that insight that you just imparted to us. Really, we find it that we are really privileged that we do have people who are able to think on a human level, you know, able to give guidance on how to treat matters such as these ones, and how we can also change the environments that we are working in. And thank you for helping us with it. And rest assured, I'll be referring people to you. That
Thank you. I appreciate
thank
that.
thank you for spending time with us. It's been an incredible, insightful conversation, and I believe many of our viewers here and listeners have been reminded that behind every job title is a human being. Behind every performance that is targeted, there's someone carrying hopes, responsibilities, and sometimes silent struggles. So, one of the biggest takeaways from today's discussion is that caring for people's mental wellness isn't separate from achieving great results. It's actually one of the foundations of sustainable performance. And when leaders with empathy and when workplaces foster psychological safety environment, and when individuals feel supported, everyone benefits. So it's not a losing game here. It's actually a winning game. So thank you once again for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and your passion with us. And we truly appreciate you joining us, our audience that are on Telegram and also other platforms that are connected, YouTube, Riverside, LinkedIn, Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. And if today's conversation encouraged you and also challenge your thinking or help you better understand the importance of mental wellness in the workplace, we'd love you to share this episode with your colleagues, your friends, your manager, or someone who you know could benefit from it. So let's continue creating workspace where people don't simply survive, but they truly thrive. Don't forget to like this video our and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, NMP Talk Show, and turn on your notifications so that you never miss any future conversations that we having featuring leaders such as this one we have today, Nora, professionals who are change makers who are making positive impact in our communities and workplaces. My name is Neo Morabedi. I've been your host for this evening, and until next time, we're signing out.